Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks Postgame Podcast. Jay Zawaski here, Greg Boysen to my left. Mario Tirabassi is at the United Center. He'll join us later in the show. And boy, do we have a lot to talk about in this one. The Hawks blow a 4-0 lead to the Buffalo Sabres at home and lose the game 6-5. We are presented by PointsBet. Use promo code CHGO when you sign up to get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. But that's not it. If you make a $50 or more first-time deposit on PointsBet, you'll receive a free CHGO membership, which unlocks all of our web content, and you'll even get a free t-shirt of your choice from the CHGO locker. That's $2,000 in free bets, a free CHGO membership, and a free t-shirt from the CHGO locker, all for making more than $50 deposit at PointsBet when you sign up. So, that whole thing. You know, we're sitting here before the podcast begins, Greg, and trying to muster the anger for this loss because, look, the Hawks just aren't very good. We've said that many times. They're rebuilding, so theoretically losses are better than wins. But we're seeing a very troubling trend here where the Hawks get off to a big lead and then below the lead. And it's one thing against Vegas on the road against a team that is absolutely desperate for points. It's another thing to lose at home to the Buffalo Sabres. This is a really tough pill to swallow. There's so many little things to get into in this game, but it's just really frustrating, and it felt like it should have been a sure thing. 4-0 after the first, you should just coast to victory. Get the puck, dump it in, and just let the clock expire, get the 2 points, and move on. Instead, the Hawks found every way they could to blow this game, and it sucks. And I'm pissed for the fans who decided to go to this game on a freezing cold March night against a crappy team. 2 crappy teams played against each other, and the building was full, and they were nice and loud, and it's just, man, what a frustrating performance from the Hawks. And it's just, look, losses are losses, but a loss like this really sucks and really hurts.
Yeah, I want to go full Matt Peck right now.
Yeah.
I want to.
It's tempting.
If you've never watched our Bulls postgame, it's still going on in our other studio. We're in the comforts of the Radish Garden, otherwise known as Studio B. The Bulls guys have the main studio, and they're very shouty, very angry. I want to be angry.
Go full pack. Do it.
I want to. I don't have a hat to throw, and we got glass doors. I don't want to break anything.
Yeah.
I would love to get angry, but God, I don't have it in me. I'm front, like, I don't know what I am right now. You watch that, just pathetic. Pathetic. Yeah. I can let the Vegas thing go. You're on the road. You're playing a team that is desperate to make the playoffs. You've home 4-0 on home ice to the Buffalo Sabres. Now, everybody says Buffalo Sabres and automatically, oh my God, they're a bad team. Well, they're 2 points behind the Blackhawks right now.
Yep.
And they were a team that came into this game. They have 8. They after this ridiculous win tonight, they now have points in 8 of their 9 last games. They have a point. So they're not as bad as we think they are. Have the Blackhawks had a streak where they've had a point in 8 of 9 games since 2017?
Top of my head, I mean, maybe, but nothing memorable, nothing I can think of at the moment.
So we should probably not be like, well, they lost to a really bad Buffalo Sabres team. No, they lost to a Buffalo Sabres team that's probably better than the Blackhawks right now.
Yeah, a bunch of people in the chat pointing out that the Sabres are on the rise. They're a young team that's getting better, and that's true. There's
since 1997.
Well, that's one thing. Pat LaFontaine is not walking through that door, but that said,
it looked like they had Alexander McGillney out there for a few moments.
Would you, if you were a Hawks fan, would you Hawks fans trade positions with the Sabres right now, roster wise?
I don't know.
It's tough because you've got Kane and DeBrincat, you've got some star power and Seth Jones on this team. But when I look at 2-3 years from now, which team's going to be better? It's hard to not think it's going to be the Sabres. But I don't care. It's not about that. It's about this game tonight, and it absolutely sucks. And I'm going to be honest. Like, we've talked about this on the podcast a few times. I had a piece ready to go about how Derek King should be given the reins and be named the full-time head coach. And he should lead the rebuild. I'm not publishing that tomorrow. I can't. I got to wait for a better time.
Yeah.
Because
timing, my friend, timing.
I'm not blaming him for the loss. Yeah, really. It's not Derek King's fault that the team couldn't get their heads out of their collective asses.
The Zawaski curse.
Oh, it's just brutal. Oh my God. It started, 4-1, 4-2. Greg and I looked at each other like,
here we go.
This isn't about to happen, is it? And I tweeted at the Blackhawks, can we not do this right now? And it just kept coming and coming and coming. And then DeBrincat gives the Hawks the lead late. It's 5-4. You're feeling good. Nope.
Well, that's the second straight game that's happened
yep,
too.
Absolutely.
You blow the lead, you get the lead back late in the game, and you still can't hold the lead. And listen, Lincoln man, he's playing himself right out of Chicago right now. It was off to a great start. He had 8 solid periods in a row and 1 good period tonight.
You know what, though? I would love to see him make a single save without some sort of rebound.
Well, that's going to be a problem with both of the guys they've got on the roster right now. But you get that lead back, and it's just, and this is I don't want to call it funny, but here's the ironic thing, and a shout out to our Phoenix crew for their sympathy. We've been there, yeah.
They know.
They know. Well, we're brothers in arms right now. But Derek King, after morning skate today, talked about the importance of shifts right after scoring a goal, right after allowing a goal, and then in the final minute of periods and of the game. And what do they do? They give up the goal with 10 seconds. Now, granted, that was a fluky-ass goal, but if you didn't give up the first 5 crap goals, then you wouldn't be in a position to give up a fluky goal at the end of the game. So 8 really good periods from Kevin Lincoln, but 3 out of the last 4 have been garbage.
Yeah, not good.
Garbage.
Reverend Marie Beth asks in the chat, what has Derek King done to earn the job? And it's a valid question. Here's my argument in my piece was that he took a seriously sinking ship that started, 1-9-2 under Jeremy Colleton. It was directionless. It was, you had veterans and young players angry and confused and unhappy, and it was just a disastrous situation. And at the time I started writing it, he had led the Hawks to basically a 500 record. Yeah, there were some overtime losses in there that skewed it towards the loss side, but he took a team that was bad and had them pretty solid. And what we had seen since the trade deadline was some pretty strong performances from a team that could have very easily just folded the tents and said, screw it. You traded Hagel, you traded Fleury, you traded Carpenter. We're just going to give you half an effort until the end of the year and hit the golf course as soon as possible. And they hadn't done that for the first handful of games. But now the last 2, maybe they were just on tape delay or something. I don't know, because look, again, the Vegas thing is different, but this game is an inexcusable loss. It's inexcusable. And anytime something like this happens, you have to look at the coach. You have to be critical of the coach. There was a couple opportunities that King could have called a timeout and didn't. I question that a little bit. But look, the bigger picture thing with Derek King is, and we'll get into this, we've got a couple non-post-game shows this week, so we're not going to burn through it right now. You are rebuilding. You need someone who can communicate with young players, who can encourage young players. That's what he thrives at. Wins and losses aren't so important right now. It's the development, it's the communication, it's the saying what you need to do. And look, I think King has done a decent job lineup-wise. His lines have clicked offensively. Defensively, at the end of the games, the team has been a disaster, but that's how they're built. They're not a good defensive team, and hopefully that's priority number 1 for Kyle Davidson.
Yeah, I mean, it's more of a big picture thing. I don't think Derek King is the long-term guy here. I don't think Derek King is the guy that is still the coach here if and when this team is ready to be a playoff team again.
Right.
But he's a fine coach for right now. You don't need to go out and spend a ton of money to bring in your top free agent coach. This guy has a relationship with a lot of the young players who are already here and a lot of the young players who will be coming up in the next year or two. There's nothing wrong with that. He he puts a simple system in that guys understanding, and they just go out and play hockey. He keeps them loose. Guys like playing for him. I covered him for 3.5 seasons in Rockford, and guys just like playing for him because he lets them just go out and play hockey. So, these types of losses, they're frustrating. And there are things that he could do better in these games, but it's also hard to say, well, Derek King lost this game. No, bad defense lost this game. And Derek King can only put guys on the ice and tell them where to go. It's still up to these guys to execute.
And as angry as we are, I want to take a deep breath. And as I, in my brain, recap several of the Sabres goals, they had some real fluky things happen in their favor in this game. And sometimes the puck bounces that way. True. All true, especially the game winner where a broken stick flies past Lincoln and he thinks that's the puck. The puck bounces off the backboards, off his heel and in. That sucks. There's nothing Kevin Lincoln can do about that. But when you look at the numbers of this game, the shots on goal, the possession numbers, all those things, the Sabres deserve to win. Fluky goals or not, they were the better team through 60 minutes. Yeah, the Hawks had a slight edge in the first, but the next 40 minutes were a complete avalanche of crap that happened, and the Hawks did not deserve this game. It was just a matter of time. Would the Sabres run out of time before they could catch up? The answer was no, and the Hawks are left now with a loss, a 6-5 loss after a 4-0 lead. Everyone is to blame for this loss, coaches and players alike.
By the way, I'm pretty sure I saw Avalanche of Crap open for the Butthole Surfers back in 1990.
It makes sense. Actually, you would think
coming down the mountain
that the Butthole Surfers would be first, and then the Avalanche of Crap would follow. But
their song was "Coming Down the Mountain." So,
but I digress.
Yes, who would have thought you'd ever hear Butthole Surfers on a Blackhawks podcast? But only
hey, if it's you and me, you never know.
Yeah.
We're looking forward to Mario joining us. He will be at the Blackhawks postgame festivities. It's going to be really interesting to hear what the players and coaching staff had to say after this one. This is a tough pill to swallow, man. You saw some long faces on that bench. You saw some frustration, and especially there was a moment of relief when DeBrincat scored and gave the Hawks the lead pretty late in the game, and then it all falls apart again. I don't know. I'm hoping that this is not the start of some major free fall, but look, maybe that's the best thing that can happen is give the Hawks the best odds to get a lottery pick so they get a first-round pick. I don't know. It's really a weird place to be as a fan because for the last decade plus, we've been into every game, wanting the Hawks to win every game. This year, when we looked at the roster coming into the season, we thought potential borderline playoff team. So to adjust that thinking into, losses are probably better than wins at this point for the future of the franchise, it's really hard for me to think that way. And I'm sure it's hard for a lot of Hawks fans to think that way, even though your brain says lose, your heart says win. Because it's more fun when they win, let's be honest.
Yeah. Hey, there's our guy.
Look at how handsome he looks. Nary any coffee on him.
Oh, look at that. Here we go. Mario has joined. There it is.
Now we're at full strength, full power. We are powered up. Mario Tirabassi joins us from the United Center. Mario, thanks for jumping in. Greg and I have been sharing our thoughts on this game, so we want to give you the floor to talk about yours and let us know what you heard post-game.
While we wait for him to actually join the conversation, I wonder if this was his first game allowed there with CHGO. It might be his last after that. I think maybe
they're going to blame him for sure.
You have to leave and you can't come back.
Yeah.
You said everybody deserves a blame, so we're going to blame Mario too.
Well, yeah, while we figure out his audio, it's just so cool. This is the beginning of my second week here at CHGO, and Greg and Mario, this is their fourth week. Just cool that they're sending reporters out, that the teams have been accommodating, that they're letting this new project get off the ground. I know the Hawks have been really helpful and supportive
for sure
in terms of getting us credentialed, getting us access, all those things, and that just means better coverage for you, the Hawks fans. So
the Blackhawks have been great with Mario and myself out at practices and morning skates, and now we're going to be Mario and I will be switching off home games. So home game, post games will include a 2-man crew here in studio, and then one of the two of us at the United Center.
Well, before we get to Mario, if you want to support CHGO the way the Blackhawks and the other teams in town, most of the other teams in town have done, the best thing to do is to download the PointsBet app and use code CHGO when you sign up. If you do that right now, you'll get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. But like I said earlier, if you make a $50 or more first-time deposit, you'll receive a free CHGO membership, which unlocks all of our web content, and you'll even get a free shirt of your choice from the CHGO locker. That's $2,000 in free bets, a free CHGO membership, a free t-shirt from the CHGO locker, all for making a $50 or more first-time deposit at PointsBet. Your home for live in-play betting just got even better. Introducing PointsBet's new feature, Live College Basketball Same Game Parlay. For the first time ever, you can build the perfect live same game parlay only with PointsBet. And now online sign-up is available in Illinois. You can download the PointsBet app right now and register your account from start to finish, all from your phone. You don't have to get out, put your scarf on, bundle up, put on a winter coat, scrape the ice off the car, and head to a casino. No. You can do it all from your phone. So what are you waiting for? Once the game starts, don't just bet. Live your bet life with PointsBet. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700. And I think we're all squared away. Mario, welcome to your show.
Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you.
Awesome. Yeah, you were asking about the, the mood after the game, and it was a frustrated and tense Derek King. It was he talked about being surprised and disappointed in the effort that his players were giving tonight. The first period, it went as well as it could have, and then obviously the final 40 minutes of the game was the complete opposite. He spoke about the players basically going rogue, not really sticking to the game plan and doing what made them successful in the first 20 minutes. And he was very critical of the players, which was a bit surprising, but also not surprising. I mean, they're the ones going out there and blowing the leads, not him. So, yeah, I mean, it was he called them out, and I think, for good reason. You give up. This was the same that we saw on Saturday. Get out to a good lead and become complacent, and things don't go your way. Things snowball, and it gets out of control. And then you think you kind of come back, you regain the lead, and then all to just blow it again. So,
a couple quotes here from Derek King. Quote, "We stopped playing the game the right way. We just decided upon ourselves to go and do what they wanted to do. Didn't do anything we asked them to do. I'm very surprised, disappointed, and they should be disappointed. We'll find out come next game how disappointed they really are about losing a game like that." So, yeah, I think trying to think of has Derek King really been that outwardly mad before? I think we've seen him frustrated, but this sounds like, and not hearing the audio, just reading the quotes and hearing what you're saying, Mario, this seems like the most upset that Derek King has been this season.
Yeah, I mean, it's few and far between to get Derek King to, be that critical of his players. Even with the Rockford Ice Hogs. I mean, Greg and I have seen Derek King get upset before, but this was almost I don't want to say seething, but you could tell he was kind of choosing his words properly in the way that he was criticizing his players. I mean, he basically said after the first period, he didn't name anybody by name, obviously, but basically saying some players were out there freelancing. Point chasing was a term that he used, and calling them out, basically saying, hey, they think they're that good to play that way, and they're not. And I think that was, pretty telling of how critical he was and should be of the team, because frankly, you get out to a 3-0 first period lead, a 4-0 lead to begin the second period, and you start to think, oh, okay, it's the Sabres. We're rolling over them. And these aren't the Blackhawks of old where you could just step out on the ice and you're automatically better than a team like the Sabres. They're not. So you can't go out there and say, we have a 4-0 lead, time to just do whatever we want. You have to still stick to your game plan. And that was something that Derek King talked about, and wanting to, work on still building the identity of the team. And these games, for as much as they don't technically matter in the standings, they matter in building that. So an effort like this is not encouraging from a fan perspective, from a coaching perspective, and shouldn't be encouraging from a player's perspective.
Well, the point chasing comment is very pointed.
Yeah.
Very pointed.
There's only a few people that he could have meant there. It doesn't take
Kelvin DeHaan.
that son of a.
Oh, he's chasing that point.
Doesn't take Sherlock
Thinks he's a
Holmes to
goal
figure
scorer
out who
now.
he's talking about there. But you know, as you said, it takes a lot for Coach King to get mad. He kind of takes that like fatherly approaches. I'm disappointed. I'm not mad at you.
Yep.
That's the approach he usually takes a lot. And Mario and I, we've talked to him a lot over the years, a lot in Rockford and the last couple of weeks up here. For him to get mad takes a lot. I've seen it a couple of times, but it's usually after something like this. And I mentioned earlier, Mario, that it was kind of ironic how this happened because after this morning's morning skate, we were both there listening to him talk about the importance of shifts after goals, the importance of shifts in the last minute of the game, in the last minute of the period, and it was like he was fortune telling this morning.
He was prophesizing,
Yeah, I mean he was reading the tea leaves, as they like to say, and like he almost, I don't want to say he almost expected something like this to happen, but you could tell he wasn't feeling 100% great after that Vegas game. So obviously he's got some elephants in the room he needs to address, and you know, when a guy like Derek King gets angry and says something like that, I think that has way more effect than a guy like a John Tortorella who's saying that after every game.
Exactly.
Even wins.
Yep.
So when Derek King, your favorite uncle in the entire world, gets mad, you probably listen. So they're stepping up in class. Their next two games are on the road at the Panthers and at the Lightning in back-to-back games. We all know there's going to be a lot of emotion in that Lightning game with the recent trade between the two teams, but that Panthers game, that's a game where we're going to see who really wants to be there, who has hopped on the ride, as the cool kids like to say, and who are the guys that maybe will just leave in South Florida.
We've got a comment from sorry, Mario, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
We've
Let's
got
get to the comments.
Comment in the chat from Jim Z, who that might be my dad. Watching the YouTube, it would surprise me, but you never know. He says, point chasing, don't these guys know they're playing for their jobs? The ones who'd be chasing points are the ones that, in my mind, are the ones who have pretty secure jobs with the Hawks. We're talking about Kane, DeBrincat, Strome. Guys like that are going to be the ones chasing points and looking for potential performance bonuses, things like that. I don't think he's talking about Sam Lafferty. I don't think he's talking about Taylor Radish. I don't think he's talking about Reese Johnson. When the term point chasing is made, it is almost always pointed at the star players.
Yeah, that's a shot at that top line.
Yeah.
There's no one else he's talking about.
Yeah, again, you know, it really did feel like if you've ever had a very quiet ride home from a poor performance in a little league game or anything like that with your parent or whatever, like that's what it felt like being in the media room with Derek King. It was just a very upset and carefully worded head coach, and yeah, like you said, the point chasing comment was that stuck out to me when he said it, and I obviously I don't expect the Blackhawks to get out to a 3-0, 4-0 lead in their games in Florida against either of the Panthers or Lightning, but it'll be interesting to see if, you know, these kinds of starts to games that we've seen, if that rolls over and then they find themselves in a competitive game and they fight through it. They don't think they can get on their heels and sit on a 3-0 or 4-0 lead. They won't have that opportunity in Florida. So it'll be interesting to see what what their effort level is like.
Well, Greg, you mentioned Derek King as like the fatherly, supportive kind of a guy, and whenever I hear a coach described that way, it makes me think of Lovie Smith. And Bears players loved him. Whether you, the Bears fan, loved Lovie Smith or hated Lovie Smith, the players loved him. And they say to a man, the worst feeling was disappointing Lovie Smith. That was whenever he would show disappointment in them, that would have the most impact on them as a player. Look, athletes are used to getting screamed at and yelled at for lack of performance. But when you've got someone who is an overall positive influence like Derek King, someone who's always looking at the positives, not the negatives. I think a good example we mentioned a couple shows ago is the way he's handling the Kurashev, Entwistle, Kubalik rotation, where he said, look, I told the guys, they're not doing anything wrong. Here's some things to work on, but this is just part of the plan. Nothing to worry about. That's positive reinforcement. So when you have a guy who goes out of his way to remain positive and remain supportive, showing his anger and disappointment, I hope to God that has an impact on this team. If it doesn't, there's way bigger problems than we thought they had already. So hopefully the players get the message. They better, because they've got two juggernauts coming up in Tampa and in the Panthers. And there could be some ass whoopings on deck if they are not ready to play in those two games. So I predict they're going to come out much stronger against Tampa. I think this might be a wake-up call for them. Look, they're not as talented as Tampa. They might not win the game, but I don't think we're going to see any point chasing. I don't think we're going to see any half-hearted efforts, half-hearted 40-minute efforts like we did in this game, in the Vegas game.
Yeah, I'd like to see a response. I don't expect them to win either of those games down there, but just be competitive. Show you care. Give me a reason to believe why any one of you guys, not named Alex DeBrincat, should be on the team next year.
Yep.
Show me why you deserve to come back and be part of the rebuild starting next season. So, yeah, I would hope they would get an effort after those comments from Derek King. We'll see how that goes. Those games could be ugly blowouts, but hockey is dumb and silly, and the Blackhawks can win both of those games 1-0. Like, we've seen it before.
Hockey's weird.
It's so
a random sport.
The talent gap is going to be gigantic in both two games. That's what makes tonight's game even more frustrating, because this is a team you're pretty much evenly matched with the Sabres. We mentioned earlier, which roster would you rather have? Actually, if I had a choice, I would combine these two teams in the one team, and then maybe you'd have a pretty good team.
Yeah, if you were able to pick and choose.
Yeah, if
from
I could
the
take
roster
six
who you wanted,
skaters
you'd have a
from
pretty
each
good
team, we'd probably have a playoff team. But so just Thursday night against the Panthers. Is it the Panthers first or is it the Lightning first? I can't remember.
I think it's Panthers.
It's the
then
Panthers
Lightning.
first on Thursday. Just give me a sign that, like, you guys are pissed off. We're pissed off as much as we can be pissed off for a team that we kind of like, okay, it's okay to lose. Just don't embarrass
like
yourself.
that.
Don't embarrass yourself.
Man, especially at home.
Yeah.
It's just, and Mario, you'd have a better indication of what the crowd was like than we did on TV, but they were vocal. You could hear them. They were into the game. To come out on a cold March night to get to see two crap-ass teams battle away for 60 minutes, that's a commitment from the fans. It's a lot of money, and I know players don't think that way when they're playing on the ice, and they probably shouldn't, to be honest, but it's just like, how crappy of a loss can we have at home? Let's find the worst possible loss to have, and let's do it. Let's get out to a good lead. Let's wear the record out of Chelsea Dagger, and everyone's happy and getting drunk, and oh my God, what happened? What is happening? What's going on? And we lost.
Guys, a couple questions in the chat. P3 Arizona wants to know, what are the positives of this game, if any?
Oh, we're going to get to our fourth stars of the night.
Yeah, there's definitely some positives
that's
to take
happening that I am half serious about. Because who was least bad? That might be the new segment.
Yeah.
The least bad player of the game was...
Well, Jay, to your point about the atmosphere of the UC, I was impressed by the turnout. There's empty seats, obviously.
Yeah.
But like you said, for a cold Monday night against two bad teams, it was a pretty impressive turnout. And yeah, obviously getting out to a 3-0, 4-0 lead, crowd was into it. They were, the Bud Lights were flowing. But it was quickly turned sour, and Yeah, I think, if, like you said, players don't necessarily think this way, but if you got, a pretty decent crowd coming out on a Monday night to come watch you play the Sabres, they deserve a better result than that.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's real disappointing. It's I don't know. I had felt good about things. Even the Vegas loss. I think the three of us went away feeling like, okay, it is what it is. This is a team with cup, aspirations. We thought at the beginning of the year. They've battled some injuries and some other things. So you can kind of excuse it, and you were sort of happy with the overall effort since the deadline. But this one, boy, to go from where we were, last week to now, it's a big dip. And to have your coach claim point chasing, oof. Especially, like you said, that's not John Tortorella. That's Derek King saying that, and that is concerning.
That's an attention grabber.
Yep.
At least it better be. It better be. I want to see the Blackhawks come out pissed off. They can say all they want about, oh, we battled, it's a tough loss, we're frustrated, whatever. Show me Thursday night against the Panthers that you're pissed off. You can lose the game. Just give me 100% effort for 60 minutes. That's all I'm asking. I don't think that's hard to ask for a professional hockey player.
And Greg, that's the thing. Like, that should not be the minimum expectation, but it is. That's all we want to see from here on out is go out there and compete for 60 minutes. If you lose 4-2, but you gave your max effort and you did the best you could and you just got out-talented, fine. We know the Hawks don't have an NHL goalie on the roster right now. I guess a starter caliber goalie on the roster right now. Fine. These losses are going to happen, but it's the way you lose the game that is frustrating and it pisses me off. And this was one of the worst losses of the year. Honest to God, this is one of the worst losses of the year. When you look at the whole context of the thing, and as we've been talking about for the last week, guys playing for jobs. There are still guys playing for jobs on this team, and there were guys playing for jobs on this team tonight. You watch Sam Lafferty lay out Will Butcher behind the net and then go out in front and score a goal. That guy's playing his ass off. Taylor Radish at the end of the game has two players in a headlock from the Sabres during a fight. Kachuka's mixing it up. These guys who know they've got their careers and their jobs on the line are still out there playing. Meanwhile, the guys that make the most money on the team are, as Derek King said, point chasing and, quite frankly, hurting the chances of those other guys on the team to make money and to succeed. It's just, the whole thing is sickening, and the more we go, the more pissed I'm getting. Where's my hat? Matt Peck, bring me a hat.
I think Matt's already left.
Yeah, he's gone. He's left the building.
He's shouting at random Uber drivers. I can't believe they lost to the Knicks. I can't believe they lost to the Sabres.
Bing bong.
It was 4-0.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, Jay. I mean, this is a game that if you lose it and it's a back and forth 6-5 loss, all right, you battled, but to see just the collapse again and to allow one goal against to turn into 2, into 3, into 4 again, it's just frustrating. And for the way that they lose the game, hockey's the stupidest sport, and people bet on the PointsBet app actual dollars on this game. I don't know what to say. It's just the most wacky and frustrating way to lose a game in a season that already has had its roller coaster of emotions. So it's just another chapter in this season where you just kind of shake your head, shrug your shoulders, and be like, well, that's what happened.
Yeah.
Blackhawks hockey, baby.
That's tough. All right, Mario, before we let you go and get home and all that good stuff, should we get to our fourth star of the night?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, we'll let you do the honors. And before we do, we want to welcome a new sponsor to the CHGO Blackhawks podcast. If you're an old listener of the Madhouse podcast, you know our buddy Kent Simpson of the Simpson Law Group. We've got a legal expert on the show and on the CHGO Sports Network. Kent is awesome. But after over a decade of prosecuting homicide cases as an assistant Cook County State's attorney, he opened his own firm over 20 years ago, specializing in all forms of personal injury cases, including injuries as a result of accidents involving cars, trucks, motorcycles, boats, planes, hoverboards, unicycles, hot air balloons, and buses, construction accidents, nursing home abuse, medical negligence and birth injuries, slip and fall cases, and injuries as a result of hazardous drugs or products. Kent's firm's results speak for themselves, with millions recovered for their clients. Sinson Law Group charges no fees unless they win for you, so call for a free consultation, 312-332-2107, or visit sinsonlawgroup.com. That's SINSON lawgroup.com. Don't go offsides, go top shelf. Call now. Kent is our guy. He is feisty. He is an awesome guest. He is plugged into the legal system. He was such an asset during all the Kyle Beach stuff, so we're thrilled to have him make the jump from Madhouse to CHGO Blackhawks. And with that, let's get to our 4th stars of the night.
Welcome aboard, Kent.
Yeah, he'll be happy with this.
I might get that unicycle between him and the new insurance. I'm finally going to get that.
That's kind of my. That was kind of my game-to-game bit with Kent, was finding various vehicles to cause injury. So, all right.
I'll be Amazoning.
Am I going first here? Am I doing this?
Yes.
All right.
On the graphics. Time for the CHGO 4th star of the game. If you don't remember why we started this, it's because the Chicago flag has 4 stars. So we want to pick a Blackhawk player that wasn't one of the 3 stars of the game. And that gave us the entire roster tonight. So we're going to pick out a guy that deserves some accolades. Since we've been very critical, now it's the time to be positive. So
all right.
Jay, kick us off.
I'm going to start, and this might come as a surprise to you. But I thought number 56, Eric Gustafsson, had a pretty solid game. And I was doing that from the eye test. And then I went in and looked at the numbers. Eric Gustafsson was the lone Blackhawk over 50% in Corsi ratings. 12 Corsi for, 11 against. That's a 52.17 rate. I thought he made some decent defensive plays. I see Mario shaking his head. Look, this was the least bad Eric Gustafsson has been all year, so I'm going to throw him the bone and give him the 4th star in this game because he was not awful.
All right, what's that
Keep
lawyer's
playing
number
him over
again?
Alex Vlasic. Yeah, let's.
That said,
do that.
Thank you, Mario. That said, Alex Vlasic should either be playing or in Rockford, not sitting on the bench watching Eric Gustafsson be decent for once.
Yeah, congratulations, number 56,
Yeah.
for being average. Nice work.
So it is a fitting choice for this game.
Yeah, well, I'm going to go for a guy we mentioned earlier, and it's a guy that I'm becoming a bigger and bigger fan with each game, and that's young Mr. Sam Lafferty, who scored that goal. We mentioned that play briefly. He just completely obliterated Will Butcher behind the net, and then after he makes the big hit, he gets up, he skates right to the front of the net, and is rewarded with the puck, puts it in. For I believe fifth goal of the season, second in the last 3 games. We were all giving Lafferty a hard time for not being able to finish, but he's got 2 goals in his last 3 games. He had a real nice line, 2 shots total, 4 hits, a block shot, and 2 takeaways in 18:31 of ice time. So obviously he's one of the few guys Derek King is trusting right now, and rightfully so. The kid never takes a shift off. So Sam Lafferty is my 4-star pick.
Sam Lafferty, I mean, what a win by Kyle Davidson in a trade that was just, it happened. But wow, like, what an absolute win of a trade.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Anyways, so I'll get to my my 4-star of the night, breaking a 5-season streak of scoring 1 lone goal in each of those 5 seasons is Calvin DeHaan with his 2nd goal of the season.
Still here.
Twice as good as ever.
Still
Hey,
here.
you know, he's on fire this year. He's on a hot streak. So, I mean, he's still here. He scored his 2nd goal of the season for the Blackhawks. So, congrats to Calvin on breaking the curse. He's my 4th star of the night. But yeah, I mean, knowing that we have the entire Blackhawks roster to select from, I think I'm very comfortable supporting Greg's choice of Sam Lafferty tonight. Like, he was so noticeable, and just like talk about a player that is instantly becoming a fan favorite. And you know, we talked about having him come back on a cheap 1-year deal. might not be as cheap as we originally thought if he continues to play like this down the stretch. He might be earning himself a couple extra dollars in the off season. So,
all right, I will concede, I guess, my very tongue-in-cheek vote for Eric Gustafson to Sam Lafferty.
Guess Eric is gonna have to become a CHGO subscriber to get that Blackhawks shirt.
Yeah, I guess so. That's a shame. He can afford it.
All right, congratulations to young Mr. Sam Lafferty. Great job. He's been fun to watch. So
Yes, he has.
I don't ever worry about him not answering the bell. The rest of the team, who knows?
How many years would it take of hockey playing for Alex Nylander to do what he did tonight once?
What Sam Lafferty did?
To lay a hit and score a goal in one shift.
Yeah, that's not happening. Not even in the AHL.
I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon.
Alex Nylander's next hit will be his first.
Yeah, really. I had decent hopes for that guy, too.
If it happens, we'll miss it because I'm not paying attention to Wilkes-Barre Scranton. So,
right,
paying attention to the NHL.
All right, Mario. Should we let Mario go home?
Yes, Mario's had a long day.
Yeah,
we'll let him get. Yeah,
it's me and John Weideman up here. We're having a.
Throw him on.
Bring him on. He's
who's gonna stay in the press box the longest? But I'll head out here, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.
All right.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, Mario.
Take care, buddy. Well, that was cool.
Was cool.
John Weideman emceed my wedding. He would come out
Really?
with us. Hell yeah.
Good guy, that John Weideman.
Yeah, he's the best.
He
Love
should
John
be,
Weideman. They should definitely not use him more.
Right. Like, why? That's an off-day show.
Yeah, really. Let's overthink the whole broadcast thing more than we already are.
Talked about Sam Lafferty, and he seems to have a competitive edge of late. And, if you want to start your day with a competitive edge, Strava CBD coffee is a game changer and has helped thousands of people to improve their overall wellness and quality of life. Strava delivers delicious, fresh roasted specialty coffee infused with organic broad-spectrum CBD. That is combining two of my favorite things on this planet, coffee and hemp in one place. CBD from hemp doesn't make you high or hungry, but it does offer you real benefits that can help you. You will feel alert and focused without the jitters of your normal strong coffee. You're going to live your day more balanced with less anxiety and fewer aches and pains. And if there are anything that I wake up with more than anxiety and aches and pains, I don't know what it is. Plus, including CBD in your daily routine can even help you enjoy a more restful sleep so you wake up feeling your best. That's not all. That's not even the best part. The best part is Strava is all about quality. Everything is small batch, fresh and shipped straight to your door. I've been drinking it the last couple of mornings. It tastes fantastic. And then you get the hemp. Strava also offers concentrated full spectrum CBD for those looking for more traditional CBD format with powerful entourage effect of benefits. I hope I said that right. That didn't sound right. CHGO listeners can save 25% off their entire purchase when you use the code CHGO25. That's 25% off your entire order at StravaCraftCoffee.com. That's STRAVA craftcoffee.com. And when you use the code CHGO25 at checkout, you're going to get 25% off your entire order. Already love Strava? Subscribe and save with the Strava Coffee Club. With Strava, you're in control. Save on your favorite coffees and have them automatic delivered to your home or office on your preferred schedule. They're making this as easy as it can be. Yeah. And it's a great cup of coffee, and you get all the benefits of the CBD. So I highly recommend it. Finally, a product people can look at me and believe that I actually use it. And I'm a big fan.
Yeah. All the things you said, same. Yes. Big fan of hemp, big fan of coffee. Strava is fantastic.
We love you, Strava.
I think we're all going to need some Strava after tonight.
I think the Hawks needed some before this game.
I think we're just going to need straight edibles after tonight's game.
That's for sure.
Got to go for the other side of the plant tonight.
We got about a segment to go here, and we're going to get to more in this game, but a little bit of NHL news. Ottawa Senators owner Eugene Melnick passed away, only 62 years old, after a battle with an unspecified illness. Saw that news is kind of out of the blue, and maybe it's just been off my radar. I'm not the biggest follower of the Ottawa Senators, but anytime you see a guy that young and frankly with that much money pass away, it's terrifying. I mean, that's scary to see. So I'm sure more details will come out, but that's a big off-ice story from hockey tonight. But getting back to this game, Greg, Kirby Dach missed the game with a non-COVID related illness, so could be battling a cold. Maybe he's got the runs. Who knows? But it got me thinking, and I think a lot of other people I saw on Twitter thinking, it's kind of bad that the number 3 overall pick from a few years ago misses a game and you don't really notice. That's not great. And I am remaining optimistic on Kirby Dach. I keep reminding myself how young he is. I keep comparing his performance to other young players taken, Capo Caco and players like that, like near him and around him that have had similar production. But I really felt like by now, Kirby Dach would have been a much bigger factor for the Blackhawks than he's been. And, I think his absence tonight sort of amplified the fact that, boy, it didn't really feel like if only Kirby Dach was here, things would be better. I still have hope that he's going to turn into a good player. I think the ship has sailed on Star. Yeah. I don't think that's going to happen. I think we're looking at a maximum, really solid second line center type of a player, which is at the number 3 pick. That's a miss. That is a miss. You've got to pick that high. You've got to get a borderline star, a multi-time all-star with a pick that high. And as it looks right now, Kirby Dach will never be that kind of a player. And it's really disappointing. And hopefully he can find whatever it is he's missing. And I know there's all these built-in excuses of the injuries and missing training camps and no time in Rockford, which was, to me, one of Stan Bowman's biggest missteps as a GM. There's a lot of built-in excuses there for him, but time's running out on excuses, and the B word, bust, not the other B word, starts to enter the conversation in Kirby Dach. And
not a good kind of bust.
It's not something I thought this early in his career would even be on the table, but it is. And, I don't know, him being out of the game and me kind of going, that's very telling.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like, God, I don't know what to say anymore about the Kirby Dach thing. I like Kirby Dach. He's a wonderful young man.
Yeah, for sure.
But man, just disappointing big time. And you'd mentioned not any time in Rockford. That was so detrimental. I mean, granted, he couldn't have played in Rockford that first year. I don't understand why they just couldn't have given him his 9 games and sent him back to the WHL and bring him back at the end of the year, much like they did with Brendan Saad after he first got drafted. That turned out pretty well. I mean, yeah, I'm sure we're gonna get round 3 of that. No, I'm just kidding. Stan Bowman's gone. It's not happening. But yeah, I don't think we're ever going to get the guy we thought they were going to, or the guy Stan Bowman thought he was drafting at number 3. We're not getting the franchise center. That's not going to happen. That I'm fairly confident is not going to happen. I don't even think he's a center, period. I mean, you can't have a center that just cannot win a faceoff. That's a problem.
It's so bad. Like if he was 40%,
right?
We're talking like 30s and 20s some nights.
I mean,
like,
Dylan Strome has all of a sudden become a really good faceoff guy.
Well, he was decent in Phoenix and then got bad when he got here.
Right. But, so there is hope that he can become okay, but I don't want to see it anymore. It's like he can't win faceoff, so stop trying to make him a center. Stop trying to force a square peg into a round hole at this point. Maybe in the summer you send him to live with Yannick Perreault and he figures it out. But right now, I don't want to see him at center anymore. And one thing that I am encouraged about, it does nothing to do with Kirby Dach, but you mentioned that getting no time in the AHL hurt him, and it has 100%. And there was no reason for him to be in the NHL. Even the last 2 years, his first 2 years of his career, really wasn't much of a reason. But I do like the fact that they are taking the exact opposite and correct approach with Lucas Reichel. really their
Yes.
only dynamic
Right.
prospect they have in the system now, where they're saying, you are in Rockford, you are the guy in Rockford. And I think that is going to make him a far better professional player much quicker than if they would have brought him up this year and done the same mistake. So I'm already encouraged a lot, even after just a kick in the junk loss like tonight was. I'm still encouraged, and I'm hopping on the ride with Kyle Davidson because we talked about the trades and his aggressiveness, and he seems to know exactly what he kind of wants to do here, but his patience with prospects, at least early on, is encouraging. Guys like Lucas Reichel has been down there the whole year, except for a couple of games up here. A guy like Ian Mitchell, who had a ton of NHL time last year, but really
Also
went
rushed.
backwards. Yes, he's essentially been in Rockford. Wyatt Kalynuk, Nicholas Bodine is another first-round pick that not a lot of people talk about, but he's progressing down there. There's nothing wrong with playing 2 or 3 full seasons in the AHL, especially as a defenseman, before you try it and come up here. So, we can wonder what Kirby Dach is going to be or isn't going to be, but they now seem to value development more than they did in the past, so you don't make the mistake of rushing another Kirby Dach, because they are going to have some high picks here in the next couple of years. That's the plan. They are hopefully going to have maybe another top 3 pick in the next couple of years, and you can't make those mistakes again. You got to take your time, and Kirby Dach, some of this isn't his fault.
No.
But at some point,
Well, look,
you got to do something.
at 3, he was
Change my mind.
He was overdrafted at 3 anyway. If you looked at any sort of draft
Bowen Byram should
guide,
have
it
been
was
picked.
5, 6, 7, somewhere in that range. And as Stan Bowman always does, he falls in love with his guys. He wants to be the smartest guy in the room and overdrafts a guy. You did not need to take Kirby Dach at 3. You could have traded down to get to 5 or 6 and say, I'm going to take him there. I'm confident he'll still be there. That's the sort of thing a savvy GM does.
Stan always wanted to prove that he was the smartest guy in the room, and he dicked over his franchise with that mentality.
You know who else, by the way, was a rushed prospect? Henry Okaharju.
Yeah.
They rushed him into the NHL lineup, and he actually held his own a little bit. But I had someone with the organization tell me, like, imagine a duck on the pond where everything looks calm on the surface, but underneath the legs are just kicking wildly. That's what Jokiharju was doing, and he was just trying to survive. That is not the way you develop a prospect. Survival does not help a top level, a top skill NHL player develop and become a valuable asset. It makes them fight for their NHL life and try to hang on and try not to make mistakes. No. Let them play in the minor, especially defensemen. It is so rare. Look at, like, Bowen Byram is a great example. Same draft as Dach, finally is getting time on the ice this season. It takes time to develop players. It takes time to develop especially defensemen. And I'm so grateful that Kyle Davidson sees that, realizes that, and doesn't say, I need to slap a Band-Aid named Lucas Reichel on the Blackhawks right now and hope for some instant crowd pop and maybe some short-term instant offense. No. Let the kid develop. Let him dominate. Let him learn the speed of the game, and then call him up when he's ready. If you want to start him day 1 next season, I'm down for that. But just let your kids be kids and learn how to play the game. Let them learn how to be pros. Remember, these kids coming out of the draft, this is the first time in their lives they're not dominating. And that's a huge adjustment. And Kirby Dach, coming from the Saskatoon Blades, you watch some of the videos of him playing, and he was towering. It was like man versus children. So to go from that to the NHL is a huge jump where everyone is Kirby Dach size and everyone has his speed. That is a giant leap to go from junior to the NHL in a top 6 role, which they handed him. And again, I'm not blaming Dach. I think the Hawks failed him in development. I think he could have developed into a better player, and he still might. I'm not completely giving up on him, but that to me is one of the biggest missteps of Stan Bowman's tenure as GM, and there were many. That to me might, at the end of the day, be the biggest. And what's funny is all these things that we're ranting about, Stan Bowman's gone. So it's almost like what are you going to do? You just got to hope that Kyle Davidson drafts better, develops better, all those sort of things. And in a couple of years, the Hawks are ready to compete again.
I just want to do a quick shout out. Jay Serio in the chat asked a couple of times about coaching alternatives. Guys like David Quinn, Paul Maurice, Pete DeBoer. We can quickly discuss that. I mean, David Quinn seemed to be okay with young players with the Rangers.
Yep.
And that ended, poorly for him. But obviously they felt they needed to get a Gerard Gallant to take that next step. So far it's worked pretty well there.
Yeah.
So maybe Paul Maurice, Pete DeBoer. I don't want either one of those guys, to be honest with you. And those guys aren't young teams. That would be a guy you bring in when the young team is ready to compete.
Exactly. That's your Savard to Quenneville move.
Right. Those are the guys. And Pete DeBoer, I think, I don't know. He gets good results from regular season teams and can get teams almost there and then kind of piddles down his leg when he gets there.
Yeah.
So
that's kind of my thing for King. It's like, I like the personality and I like the simplicity of his coaching style. Now, am I reevaluating those thoughts after these losses? A little bit. I got to be honest. Like, your sports opinion should not be static. Like, new information has come to light, man. Like, you've got to change the way you think about some things. But I still think if they take the interim tag off Derek King, I'm going to be satisfied with that. I think the personality is the right personality for a rebuild. He's not trying to reinvent the wheel stylistically or system-wise. Just put a guy in there who's good with the kids and let them develop. And then when it's time to win, you reevaluate. And maybe he is your next Dennis Savard. Thanks for your service. Now we're good. Bye. Yeah. We're going to bring in this stud Hall of Fame coach that's going to get us over
Frozen
the
Ricky Renteria.
Yeah, exactly.
But listen, Derek King is a guy that we talk about. All these players can progress. He can progress and learn from his mistakes too. And I think he has become a better coach since day one to now. And I don't know you could ever say that about his predecessor, that Jeremy Colliton ever progressed. He was the same hard-headed, stubborn whack job from day one as he was to the day they fired him. He never wanted to adjust. He never wanted to change. And that's why he's sitting at home and not behind the Blackhawks bench, where at least I think King can progress and develop as a coach. And you hope to see that. And what harm is it going to give you over the next 2 seasons to see if he can develop into something else either?
Nothing. And
Nothing.
If it turns out to be a disaster, then okay. Then
I don't
bring
think it will
somebody
be a
else in.
disaster because
that's the thing.
He puts young players in positions to succeed and doesn't give them too much that he knows they can't handle. And that's all you want out of a coach at this point of a development, of a rebuild. You just want a guy that's going to put guys in the positions to succeed. And he has done a really good job with that and keeping it simple. These are young players. Keep it simple. And he does that. So why the heck not for 2 more seasons? It's going to do you far less harm than people think.
Yep. All right, we're going to wrap things up here, but some programming notes. Tomorrow we'll be live at 1:30 p.m.
It's going to be a pantsless edition.
Pantsless edition.
It's going to be remote. We're all going to be sitting there with I know I'm not going to have pants on.
Wednesday we will be here at 12:30 p.m. And then we've got post games Thursday and Friday. So we're Monday through Friday this week. So make sure you join us tomorrow at 1:30, Wednesday at 12:30, and then we'll be back for post games Thursday and Friday. And a reminder, CHGO Blackhawks is presented by PointsBet. Use promo code CHGO when you sign up to get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. For my partner Greg Boysen right here, for my partner Mario Tirabassi, who is driving home, and for our producer Steven, thanks for joining us here on CHGO Blackhawks. We'll talk to you tomorrow afternoon. Have a great night and go Blackhawks.